On a quiet June night in Los Angeles, two lives ended in a way that shook the entire nation. A young woman and a young man, both full of promise, were found murdered outside a small residence in Brentwood. And from that moment, a single question has echoed across nearly 3 decades. How did justice slip so far out of reach? Tonight, we revisit a case that has never stopped haunting the American public. A case where tragedy collided with celebrity, where a courtroom became a stage, and where the search for truth became one of the most emotional and divisive chapters in modern legal history. This is the story of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman, and the long shadow their deaths cast over the United States. Nicole Brown Simpson was a mother of 2, known among friends for her warmth and her free-spirited personality. She had been trying to rebuild her life after a turbulent marriage. Those close to her remembered years marked by domestic disputes, police calls, and moments of fear that she shared privately with people she trusted. By 1994, she was determined to move forward, creating a safer home for her children while keeping a respectful distance from her former husband. Ronald Goldman, only 25 years old, was working at a local restaurant while pursuing his dream of owning his own place one day. People described him as gentle, hard-working, and unexpectedly compassionate for his age. He volunteered at camps for children with disabilities. He had big plans, and on the night he died, he was simply returning a pair of glasses that Nicole's mother had left at the restaurant. He walked into the wrong place at the worst possible time. Investigators pieced together the timeline quickly. Nicole had been home after putting her children to bed. Goldman arrived sometime later, expecting only to drop off the glasses. What happened next was brutal, swift, and shocking. When police arrived early the next morning, they found both victims near the front walkway. The crime scene was chaotic, and in the hours that followed, officers collected evidence under the pressure of a rapidly escalating media storm. Within days, attention turned to O.J. Simpson, a former NFL superstar and public figure with a complex history behind closed doors. Police had documented multiple domestic incidents throughout his marriage to Nicole. There were calls reporting violence, injuries, and moments of fear. Nicole had written down her worries more than once. The relationship had been troubled for years, and prosecutors later argued that jealousy and control were central to understanding what led to her death. But before an arrest could be made, the world watched something no one expected. A slow-speed chase, broadcast live, with Simpson sitting in the back of a white SUV. Crowds gathered along the highway, cheering, waving signs, treating the moment like a spectacle even as 2 families were grieving in private. That day became one of the most surreal moments in American television history. When the criminal trial began in 1995, the courtroom transformed into a national theater. Cameras captured every glance, every objection, every dramatic moment. The prosecution presented DNA evidence that experts described as overwhelmingly strong. Blood found at the scene, in Simpson's car, and at his home was linked scientifically to him. In many other cases, these numbers alone would have been enough to secure a conviction. Yet the case did not unfold as expected. The defense team questioned the reliability of the investigation from the ground up. They pointed to errors in evidence handling, contamination risks, and lapses in crime scene protocol. They highlighted racial tensions in Los Angeles, tensions intensified by the beating of Rodney King and widespread anger toward the police department. One detective's past racist language severely damaged his credibility, allowing the defense to argue that evidence could have been mishandled or even tampered with. The trial also suffered from its own size. It went on for months. Jurors were isolated from their families. They sat through endless technical explanations of forensic science that, at the time, were unfamiliar to most Americans. Some jurors later admitted they struggled to understand the meaning behind the DNA statistics. Others said they distrusted the LAPD so deeply that any mistake, no matter how small, cast doubt on the entire case. The prosecution, confident in its evidence, sometimes underestimated the emotional and cultural landscape surrounding the trial. The defense, however, understood it clearly. They shifted the focus from the victims to the investigators, from scientific data to social distrust, and from a straightforward murder case to a symbolic trial about race, power, and authority in America. Then came the moment the world still remembers, the glove demonstration. In front of millions watching live, Simpson struggled to pull on the gloves linked to the crime. The defense declared, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." That single moment became one of the most influential visual arguments ever made in an American courtroom. And on October 3rd, 1995, the jury delivered its verdict, not guilty. Across the country, reactions split sharply. Some cheered, seeing the verdict as a rare victory over a system they believed was stacked against them. Others sat in shock, convinced that overwhelming evidence had been dismissed. The divide was immediate, emotional, and long-lasting. It was a verdict that revealed deep and painful fault lines within American society. But the legal story did not end there. In 1997, the case returned to court under a civil lawsuit filed by the Brown and Goldman families. Civil cases require a lower burden of proof. After reviewing the evidence again, the civil jury found Simpson liable for wrongful death and awarded damages to both families. His profits, including royalties from a controversial book, were later redirected to them. Yet for many, no legal ruling could ever bring real closure. While the criminal verdict remains final, the questions raised during the trial have never fully faded. Why did the crime scene fall short of best practices? Could clearer communication about forensic science have changed jurors' understanding? How much did media attention distort public perception? And why were the victims, especially Ronald Goldman, so often overshadowed by the celebrity at the center of the storm? The families of Nicole and Ron have spoken over the years about their loved ones not as symbols, but as people. Nicole, a mother who never saw her children grow up. Ron, a young man who died trying to help someone. Their loss continues to echo through time, reminding us that behind every famous case are real lives, real families, and real grief that does not disappear with a verdict. Nearly 3 decades later, the case still stands as a landmark moment in American history. It reshaped discussions about race, justice, domestic violence, forensic science, and the power of celebrity. It revealed how fragile trust in institutions can be and how quickly national conversations can drift away from the victims at the center. As we reflect on this case, we are reminded that justice is not only a matter of evidence, but also of perception, power, and the human emotions we bring into the courtroom. And we are left to wonder if the same case happened today with our modern understanding of DNA and our evolving awareness of domestic violence. Would the outcome be any different? What do you think about this case? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe so we can uncover more stories together. This content is compiled and analyzed based on publicly available information and open discussions.